Alrighty, after an incredibly rough work day yesterday, and me sleeping for like 12 hours straight, and then some morning guild wars, and then getting some food in me, it's time for us to do that thing where we chat with each other while happening to watch a video, usually focused on 0645 2017. Because when you really look at it, that's actually what we do. We hang out and happen to watch a video together rather than watching a video together and hanging out. I know it sounds weird, but to me, that's what this has really become. And honestly, the video is just a way to get more people in. The nature of modern media. All right. That's enough preamble right there, though. Let us see. Ain't got much planned as opening beyond that. So we're just going to click the magic buttons in Restream that make the thing happen, where we go into the R and Raw playlist of their entire discussion, well, debate. And we are, contrary to what you may have seen were you in Discord or otherwise, if you saw this slightly sooner, um, it's not part two. Again, we already did part two. Now we're hitting part three. So just to clarify, I may be going crazy, but that's not a side effect of me going crazy. I just mistyped stuff because I'm a dummy. Actually, I copied the old Restream setting, and I thought I changed the number, but clearly didn't. And then I'd sent out the link. So anyway, we're doing part three of Kent's response to Aaron's initial video. Let's just go back and enjoy the good old times before that weird thing started growing on Kent's neck and took over. I mean, they were never really good times, but that's the only way I can describe it, I guess. I don't know. I'm rambling. Let's do this.
Good evening, folks. Kent Hovind here and the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland. It is October 31st, 2018, and we're here to continue answering this. I guess it's the challenge that was accepted by Mr. Aaron Nelson, who goes by Aaron Ra. And so we're going to continue with, try to get a little bit more in of his diatribe and answer line by line what he said. We have some folks in the audience here that have joined us that, like, I saw one of Aaron Nelson's videos where he wears a cape. So I'm going to be one of the, he's got the black cape. I got the white one. There you go.
That's like an off-white at best. It looks like a filthy old towel. And Kent, you just have to do that childish thing where you see someone with some style, with some class, with some charisma, and you're just like, I got to do the same thing, but I got to parody it, and I got to be silly about them and be all serious about it because I'm an overgrown child. Hovind. Didn't graduate past 6 years old.
Julie, we need the fan on for the hair. Fan on for the hair. Okay. Do I look cool? Do I look more intimidating?
No, you look just as stupid as ever because you can't pull off the evil deity look. Which is ironic given you worship an evil deity and also think you're an evil deity. Well, you don't realize you think you're that, but that's what you are objectively in the world you've created in your head. You just don't realize you're the bad guy.
Okay. Whoa. Whoa.
So, like, we may have to go back and actually, it might be fun to go look through Aaron's videos from around October of 2018 and see. I think there was one where he did have a slight bit of a cloak going on. And that might be what Kent is calling a cape because his understanding of fashion, well, we know Kent's lack of understanding of fashion, which is saying a lot because I run with the joke that we're lucky I can dress myself. Oh, let's continue.
Okay, thank you. We will continue tonight. What we're going to do, like we did the last two broadcasts, is play and stop as necessary and interrupt and show where he gets confused, I guess, on what different words, how they apply. So here goes his where we left off last night, I think. Okay.
That he ever attended any classes in any of them, and we know he didn't.
He says we don't know if Hovind ever attended classes in any of those countries, and we know he didn't. I'm not sure how you know such a thing, Mr. Nelson, but okay.
Because you seek out actual proper education, especially when traveling around the world to spill your bullshit? No, you're far too busy to try to actually learn something. No, 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 you're too busy trying to convince other people to stop learning because information and education are the tools of pure evil, while you simultaneously take advantages of all the benefits that society has gained from the quest for more knowledge, more accuracy in the understanding of the universe. Yes, of course, Kent. Once again, if it wasn't for double standards, am I right?
Is the one who only walked onto a campus and picked up rocks.
Oh, no, Mr. Nelson. I said if I walked onto a campus and picked up
Everyone say hi to Big Bad Mama popping up in the chat. Hell yeah.
a rock, can I say I've studied paleontology? You said, or Wikipedia said about you,
Actually, hell, everyone just say hi to everybody. I mean, that's really how it should be. Y'all just hang out and party. It's a damn party. Woo!
that you studied paleontology in Dallas. That's all it said. That doesn't tell me what classes you took, if you passed the class, and what the teacher taught in the class. Some teachers teach things that are not true, you know. So, okay.
Yes, like the failed abortion of a teacher, in quotes, that we're staring at on the screen to the right hand side. The person on the left hand side, who ironically doesn't call themselves a teacher, is far more qualified to teach than just about anyone I've ran into in my post school days, and better than several people I was instructed by during my school days.
Making false assumptions about every pile of dirt you happen to see is not the same thing as form.
Oh boy, do I agree. Making false assumptions about every pile of dirt or layer of rocks you see is not the same as being right. Okay, you may be actually completely wrong, as we'll see in a minute here.
Only studying a field that he obviously knows nothing at all about.
Obviously knows nothing at all about. Well, that's what this debate is for. Show me your evidence for evolution, and we will take it small slice at a time.
Here's my evidence for evolution, Kent. D's nuts. I just don't say anything else.
And I think I'll show you I do know quite a bit about these things, Mr. Nelson.
Yes, Mr. I'm not prepared for that.
Apart from believing that the Earth is only 6,000 years old and think
Wait. Apart from believing that the Earth is only 6,000 years old, Mr. Nelson, 6,000 is a long time. Long time. George Washington was president 15 years ago. Columbus was driving around trying to find this place 500 years ago. The Vikings were running around beating up on folks 1,000 years ago. What do you mean only 6,000? 6,000's a long time. Long time. Just because you believe in long ago and far away fairy tale millions of year stuff, that doesn't make it true. But don't stop saying only 6,000. Why don't you say God created the world 6,000 years ago? Whoa.
that carbon-14 is used.
Yes, I mean, Aaron had a wonderful response to this in his reply to this string of idiocy that Kent put forth as his round one. But yeah, it's a matter of we know the scale. We know 6,000 years, while a long time for us really isn't that long throughout certainly planetary history, let alone actual human history, and only seems like a really long time back because civilization, with written records and records that have truly lasted, only really gets going in the 10,000 year range, give or take. It's easiest to say 8,000 years ago. Civilization's, roughly 10,000 years old. Point is, and that depends on what you classify as civilization, but y'all know what I mean. Us, large aggregates of us going from hunter-gatherer into actual settlements. Point is, when you know the grand scale and you realize we've been here for just a blink of an eye in, geologic time, let alone galactic time, let alone universal time, yeah, it's not as impressive. But when I think about the fact that Tyrannosaurus Rex lived closer to us than it did to Stegosaurus, that kind of blows my mind. just one of many little things. And I know that's kind of a meme and random factoids, like, oh, Cleopatra existed further closer to the iPhone than the pyramids being constructed. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's cliched as hell because it's used in every little clickbait thing on Earth, but it's still an interesting thought. So, just saying, Kent. We understand time better than you do.
Used on Mesozoic fossils.
There is no such thing as a Mesozoic fossil. The entire geologic column does not.
There's no such thing as a god. At least not your god, Kent.
Not exist. There's no such thing as a Mesozoic era. There's no such thing as Triassic, Permian, Mississippian, Devonian. They're all rocks.
You want to know a good piece of evidence towards Kent truly being a racist, and that, in a sense, young Earth creationism is an extremely racist proposition in and of itself, is the fact that when you give them the out of Africa, not even hypothesis at this stage, the strings of evidence coinciding with all aspects of evolution of Homo sapiens origins in Africa, they get really, really upset at that thought. Really upset at the idea that we came out of Africa, of all places. And it's like, maybe there's a reason you think that's a horrible idea. Maybe it's some kind of inbuilt bigotry that you guys have. Y'all ever think about that? Along with all the other insensitive shit y'all believe? But, Kent's not a racist.
And you put your interpretation on them based on which fossils are found in them. If it contains a dinosaur bone, it will be given the name Jurassic. If it contains a different bone, it's found something else. The rocks are assigned the strata, the name, Cenozoic, Mesozoic, Paleozoic, Archeozoic, based upon the kinds of fossils they find.
Yeah, Columbus never actually set foot on continental land, and he wasn't the first hopping around this joint, nor was he the only one seeking anything that would be around here. And also, I did not ignore Kent's driving around comment. It's one thing for me to be colloquial about stuff. It's for a lot of people too. But you'll notice Aaron tends to be precise in his language in these videos. And even in his streams, he and I have a similar trait of trying to correct ourselves and trying to be accurate as possible when we're going off the cuff. Kent just says whatever the hell he wants, which would be fine, except, again, he's supposed to be more refined. It'd be so funny. If Kent wasn't a scumbag, all his other quirks would be fine. They'd be forgivable as just him being him, if one for the fact he thinks he's perfect. He thinks he's so good at everything. That's where the problem comes in, and that's half of why we fuck with him. And people can't understand that. Which, I guess if Hovind was a better teacher, they would be able to understand that. Because they'd have been taught how to think properly. But clearly they weren't. So, got kind of a chicken and egg thing here. Except the chicken and egg that everyone thinks it is, rather than the actual chicken and egg, where we all know the egg far predates the chicken. But that's neither here nor there. Or it's everywhere and in between. I don't know.
And then the fossils are dated based upon the layers they're found in. It's complete circular reasoning.
Except it's not, and the Bible is true because the Bible says it's true. Uh-oh, that's circular reasoning, Hovind.
I'll show you. All of the textbooks will say there is such...
Here we go. Everyone pull up your favorite random videos on the internet, start doom scrolling. Kent's about to go through his diatribe again. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Such a thing as a geologic column, and they've got the names for them: Cretaceous, Jurassic, Triassic, Permian, Carboniferous, etc. In the early 1800s, this was made up, completely made up. Up until that time, everybody thought, hey, the flood of Noah deposited all these layers because...
Caffeine, chaos, and questionable decisions. Huh. You and I subscribe to the same philosophy. And by subscribe, I mean we've been getting spam fucked by it for most of our adult lives, I'm sure. You click unsubscribe, but it just keeps coming. So much of it, you don't get your good email. And Baba Ali is out of here. I didn't mean go that far.
Because you would have the tide going up and down.
I mean, shit, I guess I forgot the idea that a lot of people would be watching on their phone. Okay, in that case, don't doom scroll. Don't doom scroll. I'll put Subway Surfers in the corner.
Down while the flood's going on. The moon doesn't care there's a flood on the earth. It's going to keep causing the tide to come up and down, which means the water's going to be racing sideways, both directions, high tide, low tide. Not, in addition to vertical displacement of water, you got horizontal displacement to fill that bump. All of those...
But Just imagining trying to Ozzy. Imagine hearing Kent talk about tidal pumping. Tidal pumping? What the fuck is he on about?
Those layers were formed in 1 year, as is demonstrated by poly-strata fossils, petrified trees standing up.
Say it with me, everyone. They go through layers still within individual geological sections, not through independent geologic layers. They're very well explained by processes. And any research into them and any understanding of basic geology would show anybody that. All this land used to be swampy land, or oh, look, this, that, the other. Oh, wait, you got this sedimentation and this and that, and then low oxygenated water, and oh, look. It's not a hard concept. You ever notice they tend to find them a lot of times with coal? Wonder.
But what they do, they made up this whole idea of a Mesozoic.
I could be getting creationist shit completely mixed up now. I don't know. But I mean, I know I'm right on the very broad statement of it doesn't go through geologic layers. These guys seem to understand what a layer is, but think every layer is a completely distinct geologic event rather than, composite sections of stuff. Y'all know what I mean. I'm rambling. Back to maximized. It's that kind of day where I just want to actually go through all of Kent's bullshit, and there's the look of the day right there. Kent just being like, who?
Era. There's no such thing as a Mesozoic era, okay? The geologic column is in all the textbooks, and they give them ages of so many millions of years ago, and it's all baloney. You see, it's a fact. The Earth has layers of sedimentary rock. We've got them here on our property. Come see the gravel pit, layers of gravel. The evolutionists have an interpretation that say the layers formed slowly over millions of years. The creationists have an interpretation that say those layers are from the flood of the days of Noah. Now, you guys are always trying to erase this line and, like you just did, make your interpretation part of the fact. It is not. It's a fact the Earth has layers. It is not a fact there are different ages by millions of years. The geologic column is actually your Bible, Mr. Nelson.
Yes, the perpetual false equivalence. Because these idiots can only think about the universe in a religiously structured construct that mirrors their own faith, because they don't understand how reality actually works. It's really sad that they don't realize that their religious beliefs are an anomaly against the way the universe obviously is.
It can only be found one place in the world, and that's in the textbooks. I Googled today.
Your God can only be found in one place, and that's in the stupid fucking Bible. Or the constituent books thereof. Mr. Hovind.
Where can the geologic column be found? And they said there is a spot in North Dakota, but the layers are kind of thin. No, you may have found these 10 eras, these 10 layers in that particular order in one or two places around the world. But the whole thing is based on the assumption that the layers mean something. This textbook says, right over there on the shelf, if there were a column of sediments deposited continuously since the formation of the Earth, the entire history of the planet could...
It's like Kent thinks he's right based on how many books he's got on his shelf, too. I should just show him, I should just say there's, 10,000 books hanging out behind me. I just can't turn the webcam to show him.
...be reconstructed. Unfortunately, no such column exists.
Sorry, much like your God can't show his face, I can't show you those books because the amount of information in them would cause your brain to explode, and I just don't want to be responsible for that, Kent.
The geologic column is a joke. It's a hoax. There is no geologic column, but they teach it like it's a fact.
The Jesus story is a hoax. It's a joke. There is no Jesus.
Like you saying, Hovind doesn't understand the Mesozoic era. There is no Mesozoic era. It doesn't exist, okay? If the geologic column existed in one...
It's like saying Yamato doesn't understand the Jesus. There is no Jesus.
...place, it'd be 100 miles thick. It doesn't exist. This is lie number 2 on my video number 4, lies in the textbooks. I'd recommend you watch that carefully. Now, I don't think anybody will argue. Yeah.
This was probably said just as a pretty straightforward, typical counter to Hovind's stuff, but it brings an interesting thought, Baba Ali here. A completely healthy human can only be found in one place, an anatomy textbook, so humans don't exist. Now, ignoring where it parallels Kent's crappy logic, though, thinking about the fact that, yeah, a completely healthy human can really only be found in the textbooks. I mean, there's always something that's not 100% in a person. Just, it could be the tiniest thing, but there's always going to be something that's not as good as it could be. Or, there's always a give and take in different traits we have. There's a typical statistic thing. You maxed out in strength, but didn't minimized intelligence. That's why you played football through school. There's all grown men chasing around a ball. Y'all know what I mean. It's an interesting thought because, yeah, we all, especially as we get older, we start really, everything starts falling apart. My right knee hates me. Me and it on speaking terms right now. All right. Damn knee. I wish I could run and play Dance Dance Revolution like I used to, but that just ain't happening anymore. I'm too old. Anyway, let's keep going.
Yes, it's true the Earth has layers. But if those layers are different ages by millions of years, why are there no erosion marks between the layers? I mean, they're stacked up like pancakes on top of each
other. The same moron who had left the stupid comment the other day about the troll thing in response to the horrible thing Hovind said, left another random comment. And I was going to show this, but it's like, what's the point? He's like, why does a bird have wings? And I thought to myself, there's 1,000 ways I could respond to this. But then I thought, and I'm like, this entire thing where these religious nut jobs constantly just ask us random factoids, random things. No, I'm not playing that game. Because all you're wanting to do, you don't want an answer. You just want to reach to a point where we don't immediately have an answer for something offhand. And you go, aha, you don't have an answer, so the whole thing is wrong. Because, I'm just a normal person who happens to understand and accept what science says, what the people who are clearly skilled at this stuff, far more skilled and far more educated than you, actually have to say on these things. And then you bring up your own little people who, your own creationist scientists who happen to have degrees in something, and they may make some claim against something. It's like, no. They're still not the aggregate. It's not self-correcting with them. They're the outliers. They're statistical anomalies that can be safely ignored until they meet the same burden of proof that all the other science has reached. You cry conspiracy, it's whatever. That's the whole game you want to play. I'm not doing it. Don't fucking ask me. Don't ask random people, random, atheists. How about this piece of biology? Or where did the universe come from? All these dumbass same questions that have been answered ad nauseum. But don't fucking ask us anymore. Fucking look it up yourself. Look what the actual science says. Go write one of them. Ask them. This whole idea of let's just ask the people who call out our bullshit. No, we're not playing that fucking game. All right? I ain't personally. I'm tired of everyone acting like I'm a goddamn, quiz box. Oh, let's just ask Yamato everything. Let's ask AJ everything. Let's try to stump them, and then we don't listen when they give us an answer anyway. Fuck that shit. If they can get pissy when we ask shit like where'd their God come from, and they just special plead their way out of it, then fuck it. I don't know. I just find the whole thing of asking those questions to random people just fucking dumb.
each other. Don't you think if this layer sat there for 12 million years waiting for the next one, it's going to rain once in a while? Hello? You can take a jar of water, dirt, sand, gravel.
Yeah, the engagement. And that specifically is a thing of like, I got more important things to do. Like, play Guild Wars. Look over on the right and see if the memory usage on this program on one of my VPSs has gone up anymore, because I'm trying to figure out just exactly how it allocates memory and how it dumps memory so I can maximize use of this server. I could clean up some of the junk sitting around here. I could water the plants. Actually, I think the big cactus does need some water. The little ones do. There's all kinds of things I could do other than argue with random ass idiots online. I'm not a debater. I'm not an arguer. I'm tired of the constant random ass arguments online too, honestly. Like, that's been a thing for far longer in my life than you guys can even remotely realize. I've been tired of all this shit since before I ever got into this shit, just from natural conversation. Unless you're going to pay me for my time, I ain't answering your damn questions unless I like you, you know? Anyway, back to Hovind.
Mud, shake it up, and set it down. It settles out into layers. You can take those things with 2 layers of glass and sand in between, flip them around, play around with them, and form all kinds of layers in a matter of seconds, Mr. Nelson. The layers of the earth were all formed during Noah's flood. So stop talking about this fictitious...
Yeah, and show me where that thing formed sandstone. I'll wait.
Mesozoic era. Okay, here's one right here with a mirror behind it. Okay, let's see, what do we got? We tip it. Let's see. Oh, there goes. This is going to be the Cenozoic down here, folks. You can see that's about 14.629 million years old. Oh.
In a response, I would pick my nose and whatever comes out and be like, look, Kent, I found God. Same argument.
Now here comes, oh, Jurassic is coming on top. Whoa, millions of years ago.
Yeah, Kent, I'm sure you love the idea of Jurassic coming on top.
This is baloney. Okay? All right. So, but this is what we used in the Scopes monkey trial. Is that black book right there, the black, about yay big, hardback book, the world's most famous court trial? The Scopes monkey trial, they nicknamed it. In this trial, the evolutionist defending evolution and trying to get the teacher out of trouble, he said, the lowest layers are obviously the old.
I mean, I thought the world's most famous trial was the O.J. Simpson trial, but, you know. Okay, I guess.
No, that's not necessarily true. You're starting with a false assumption. Example, when I was preaching in Union Center, South Dakota, middle of no place, we went to Rapid City, South Dakota, to the School of Mines. We're given the...
When I was teaching in some place that doesn't fucking matter, that I have to put in for no stupid reason, we went to some other place that has no fucking reason to be mentioned, but it happened to have this museum for mines, and... You know, I tend to ramble, Kent. But that's because this is off the cuff. This is fun. This is me enjoying time with my friends. You just add extraneous information just fucking because. I don't know if you're padding for time, if you just can't understand how to cut all the crap out, or what. But come on, man. Then again, I'm arguing with a near 7-year-old video, so whatever.
Tour of the mine around of the museum, and the guide stopped by the geologic time scale right here. I was there just a few months ago. It's still there. And he said, folks, this layer of rock right here is 70, and they always get the sanctimonious tone in their voice, 70 million years old. Whoa.
Yes, and you get this sanctimonious toice in your voice, tone in your voice whenever you talk about... You start crying about your God and how much he loves everybody and how much you love everybody. You're the most hateful piece of shit I've seen in a long time, Kent.
My daughter was 12 years old at the time.
Here we go. Stupid-ass, fake-ass story with Marlissa. Because, yeah, that's a name. And the art that's just so fucking stupid. Seriously want to find who did the art for all of Kent Hovind's early stuff and just be like, dude, your art sucks.
She said, sir, how do you know that layer is 70 million years old? He said, we determine the age of the layers by the fossils they find in them, and that is exactly correct. Scientists use index fossils to determine the age of rock layers. So when you give your rebuttal to this, would you please tell me how you know a rock is Mesozoic without using any fossils? They didn't have, this was all made up in 1830 before there were any dating methods. Carbon dating, potassium, argon, rubidium, strontium, lead 208. None of those had been thought of.
Yeah, and your Bible version, your favorite one, was written in 1611 before anyone had realized that the whole thing's a giant crock of shit.
They made it.
Although actually they had, but that was back in the era where daring to speak up against stupidity got you killed. We've come a long way since then. Sometimes you almost think we progressed too far, given y'all's obsession with free speech really being consisting of being able to say whatever stupid stuff you want and not having to face consequences for it.
It all up. Anyway, we walked around the other side of the dinosaur here, and the Zeuglodon, I believe, And my daughter said, or the guide said, now, folks, these bones are 100 million years old. My daughter, 12 years old, raised her hand again. She said, sir, how do you know the age of those bones? He said, honey, we tell the age of the bones by which layer they come from. She said, excuse me, sir, when we were standing over there, you told me you knew the age of the layers by the bones, and now you're telling me you know the age of the bones by the layers. She said, isn't that circular reasoning? That guide had a strange look on his face. It was almost as if he were thinking.
There it is. There's that garbage-ass art. Just good fucking God. That is grotesque. I don't have words. I don't have words.
He said, you're right, that's circular reasoning. Finding particular fossils indicates the age of the rock in which they are found. How do they date the rock? By the fossils. How do they date the fossils? By the rock. Circular reasoning. I call that stupid. I cannot.
And you know, we got the classic conspiracy theorist dichotomy where everything's some well thought out plan, some master evil plan to manipulate and deceive people, yet the elements of it are so stupid that anyone's initial look at something would reveal the problem. Now, of course, this apparent appearance of circular reasoning is quite simply false. It is explained. I forget the exact details. I know it involves the multiple corroborating facets of stuff, and that index fossils are used to generally be an initial clue of like, oh, okay, this sandstone is probably from this time period because we found fossils of this organism that only would have existed in that time period. Then they claim, well, you know, and it involves, you know, radiometric dating and other facets, ice core samples, and all kinds of shit, just depending on where you are, tree rings, on and on. You know, it's neat stuff. I just can't absorb it all. The sponge is kind of soaked here, you know. Can't absorb too much more of that lovely information. But understand enough to know that it's not an issue, and any amount of research Kent would tell you as well, it's not an issue. Which means, once again, like everything, you just go nuh-uh and keep on going. Because it boils down to everyone's a liar. Whenever something is explained to you, you nuh-uh it away, which the only possibility could be that the people who created the original information, the original condensed forms of how these things go about, the initial explanations, and disseminated them, must have been lying then. We don't just make it up as we go along. We're going to come up with this elaborate story that explains why it's not circular, even though it's obviously circular, and we were too stupid to figure it out to begin. Come on, Kent.
And I think of a better word. I'm sorry. My mama would get mad, but she's up in heaven right now saying, son.
My mama will get mad. Fuck you and your stupid ass mom. She couldn't have been much if she raised a douchebag like you. And again, the idea of grown adults, especially people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, going mama and daddy, fucking disturbing.
You're right. That's stupid. Okay. And they themselves will admit it. This one on one page says the layers of rock can be determined or can be dated by the types of fossils they contain. Next page in the same book, Glencoe Biology over there, says scientists determine the relative times of sequence and disappearance of many kinds from the location of their fossils in the sedimentary rock. So they date the rocks by the fossils, date the fossils by the rocks. Mr. Nelson, that's dumb. Dumb. And if you went to pay...
They date the Bible by what the Bible says, and what the Bible says by being in the Bible. Or something like that. Mr. Hovind, that's dumb.
Paleontology at Dallas, University of Texas in Dallas, and they taught you that. They taught you something that was dumb. You should not have swallowed that. You should have been smart enough to ask a question. Excuse me, teacher, this seems like circular reasoning. It is circular reasoning. The intelligent layman, this is American Journal of Science, has long suspected circular reasoning in the use of rocks to date fossils and fossils to date rocks. The geologist has never bothered to think of a good reply, feeling the explanations are not worth the trouble as long as the work brings results. It cannot be denied from a strictly Encyclopedia Britannica.
That's a completely different situation, Zimmy. I mean, when a person's talking about their actual mother and or father. This is completely different what you're talking about. That's okay. That's fine. Not do that right now. Just no, that's fine. Let's be clear. Someone wants to ooh daddy all they want. That's fine. It's just a grown ass adult talking about their mother or father like that is seriously creepy. But ooh daddy is fine. Oh, I'll take things I never thought I'd say for 500, Alex.
It cannot be denied from a strictly philosophical standpoint, geologists are here arguing in a circle. The succession of organisms has been determined by a study of their remains embedded in the rocks.
So yeah, we could, if we look hard enough, we can probably find the remains of Hovind's brain inside the rocks that make up his skull.
They determine how they evolved by where they're found in the rocks. And the relative ages of the rocks are determined by the remains of the organism.
And Stacy probably came in right in the middle of me saying, ooh, daddy. That's it. Stream over. Zooey Tomato killed it. We can't take this seriously anymore. Oh, man. Oh. Y'all are the best.
They contain. Oh, circular reasoning. Ever since William Smith at the beginning of the 19th century, fossils have been and still are the best and most accurate method of dating and correlating the rocks in which they occur. Apart from very modern examples, which really are archaeology as opposed to paleontology, I can think of no cases of radioactive decay being used to date fossils. So don't tell your listeners they now know by carbon dating. They date the fossils by the rocks, they date the rocks by the fossils. Radiometric dating would not have been feasible if the geologic column...
Stacy, I don't know if YouTube is going to want to load it for you, or if the particular way you're viewing is or isn't going to allow you to see it. But if you scroll back up through the chat, or just rewatch the video down the line, you'll see what exactly came up. It was great.
Column had not been erected first. Whole thing's based on that stupid geologic column. Paleontologists cannot operate this way. There is no way simply to look at a fossil and say how old it is unless you know the age of the rocks it comes from. Think about that for 5 minutes.
And again, always this presumption that the people who accept actual science are so stupid they wouldn't immediately see the problem here in the way these things are presented. Not realizing one of two things, that obviously, or not realizing two factors. Obviously, if anyone does question this, they are going to ask, and they're probably going to get a satisfactory answer, because these do have satisfactory answers. The stuff is explained, and when you just take these little snippets out of context and put them in, much like the Darwin I quote, you paint a very, very deceptive picture of what's actually going on, or people's understanding of stuff. And again, the idea that this conspiracy theory, this global them, can do all this stuff and get people to believe all this crazy stuff, but can't, come up with a way to hide this before it would ever become a problem. No. It's amazing.
Niles Eldridge. When he came and spoke in Pensacola, he set up his video projector, slide projector, set up his pulpit, and the screen was behind him, and he started going through his slide presentation, and right in the middle of it, he got a big shadow of himself on the screen, bright lights on his face, can't see a thing. I went up and said, "Excuse me, sir, why don't you move your pulpit over here?" "Oh, okay, good idea." Niles Eldridge, one of the famous evolutionists, it says, "You can't tell the age of a fossil unless you know the age of the rocks it comes from." He said, "This poses something of a problem. If we date the rocks by their fossils, how can we then turn around and talk about patterns of evolutionary change through time in the fossil record?" Mr. Nelson?
Look, no one's going to derail a stream. My stream's better than me. This stream hadn't hit rock bottom yet, right? We're spiraling down the toilet bowl, just waiting to get to that, I was about to say something really dumb. Waiting to get down to the center.
There is no geologic column. There is no Mesozoic era. The rocks do date the fossils, but the fossils date the rocks more accurately. Whoa, brilliant. Give that guy a PhD. Stratigraphy cannot avoid this kind of reasoning if it insists on using...
And yes, the man who insists on being called Dr. Kent Hovind complaining about PhDs. Once again, which is it, Kent? Are PhDs good or are they bad?
temporal concepts because circularity is inherent in the derivation of timescales. That's the only way they can do it. The charge of circular reasoning, in other words, if somebody accuses you of using
2018, but either way, yeah, Kent, that slide is using arguments that are as old as me.
Circular reasoning, which I'm doing for you here, can be in stratigraphy, can be handled several ways. It can be ignored. Forget it. It's not the proper concern of the public. Basically, that says, it's none of your business how we do it. We're doing it. Secondly, it can be denied by calling down the law of evolution. That's what you do in your three reasons. You finally get around to giving your...
Yeah, Kent said it at the beginning. This was recorded October 31st of 2018.
Three evidences for evolution. Number three, I think, is calling down the law of evolution. It can be admitted as a common practice, or it can be avoided by pragmatic reasoning. So let's see. Somebody talks about circular reasoning. You can ignore their charge. You can deny it. You can admit it and say that's the way we have to do it, or you can avoid it by pragmatic reasoning. Let's talk about something else. Go off, change the subject here. Are the authorities maintaining, on the one hand, that evolution is documented by geology, and on the other, that geology...
It's interesting, Nizumi being Japanese rat or mouse, and me having a fondness for pet rodents, rats generally.
is documented by evolution. Isn't that a circular argument? Biologists, help. Let me add to that. Geologists, help. Everybody, help. How do we get out of this? It's real simple. Admit there is no geologic column. It doesn't happen. The lowest layers are obviously the oldest from the Scopes monkey trial. Did you find that book? No, it's over there somewhere. Anyway, that is simply not true. And be careful about the movie Inherit the Wind, where they tried to reenact the Scopes monkey trial. The whole purpose of that was to make Christians look stupid. It is not at all accurate compared to the movie, or compared to the real trial. There's a guy...
Kent, it doesn't take much to make Christians like you look stupid. Some of them, perfectly reasonable, perfectly sensible. They've got stuff that I can jive with. You are stupid as fuck.
I don't know if George Searle's number is still good, but it was excellent what he did on his expose of Inherit the Wind compared to the real trial. Anyway, in moving water, when water's moving sideways, multiple layers are deposited rapidly. Many layers at the same time. There's a video clip.
Hovind used current sources. Oh, that's cute. Oh, we tried. We tried so hard and got so far. And in the end, it didn't even matter. Because the only current sources are other creationist bullshit.
From the Colorado Navy has a big flume in Colorado where they do testing of sedimentation because they want to know where they can park their submarines to hide them. And valleys fill in all the time. The ocean is moving underneath too, as well as the top. So they've done a lot of study on sedimentation rates. They say, and they show pictures with the glass sides on the water flowing through this thing. There's 10 or 15 layers forming at the same time sideways. Well, with the moon pulling the tides up, that water's rushing sideways to fill that bump. At the equator, 1,038 miles an hour. At Lenox, Alabama, about 800 miles an hour. Sideways moving water is going to deposit lots of strata, which means you could end up with something dying.
Man, we got some flat earther logic right here.
And be stuck on top that's actually older than one stuck at the bottom. The top ones are not younger than the bottom ones. That's circular reasoning. All through your geologic column, you have limestone scattered in there. Limestone, 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 limestone. I ask atheists, how do you tell the difference between 100 million year old Jurassic limestone and 600 million year old Cambrian limestone? How do you tell the difference?
This right here is what I was talking about earlier. Asking some random atheist this question. I don't know. I'm not a geologist. Why don't you ask a geologist? Don't fucking ask me.
They will tell you by the index fossils. If it contains a trilobite, it's got to be 600 million years old. This textbook right here. Trilobite fossils make good index fossils. If a trilobite is found in a rock layer, it probably formed 500 to 600 million years ago. So I'm sorry, Mr. Nelson. There's no such thing as a Mesozoic era. It doesn't happen. So, Mr. Nelson, there is no geologic column. There is no Mesozoic era. Let's continue here.
Hovind also thinks that reptiles never stop growing.
Hovind thinks that reptiles never stop growing.
I don't know how long of a monologue that was. Let's find out. Man, I swear he was going for yeah, he was going for a while, and just that diatribe of garbage, and just yeah, makes me feel better about all the monologues I go on in these things.
According to Indiana.
Sorry, hit mute.
Hovind thinks that reptiles never stop growing. Do reptiles ever stop growing?
According to Indiana Public Media, the skeletons of most mammals reach a certain size and then stop growing. However, many animals, including some mammals, keep growing throughout their lives. Kangaroos, for example, just keep growing and growing until they die.
Let me continue the quote here. Most fish, amphibians, lizards, and snakes are also indeterminate growers, which means they don't stop growing. Mr. Nelson, you said Hovind thinks reptiles never stop growing. No, Hovind knows reptiles never stop growing. Study your science, Mr. Nelson. Okay, let's go ahead.
And that dinosaurs are just modern lizards that...
Stacy, did something happen to Zoomy? Do I need to go and do some administrative stuff in the background? Because I can. You know, did something accidentally get clicked? Is that what you're saying? Because I can go fix the problem. It just involves me having to go fix the problem. Yamato?
lived too long and got real big.
No, I've never said dinosaurs are modern lizards. Dinosaurs are reptiles. That's what the word means. Dinosaur, terrible reptile, terrible lizard. So the dinosaurs, some of them may be completely extinct. I mean, there may be nothing similar today on the market alive, but many reptiles.
Note the use of car-type lingo. Nothing on the market. If we went for the fact he seems to bring up GM a lot, like in this video, and he's done it again a bit more recently, you'd forget that he worked in the car industry for a short time, and that seems to be why he focuses so much on automobiles as his particular, false analogy for things that are created. And of course, he had to say models going on there.
All reptiles today never stop growing until they die, of course. So don't say Hovind thinks that. That is a scientific fact. They don't. Neither do kangaroos, by the way. So study it out before you accuse me of being stupid about this.
And that plesiosaurs had cartilaginous skeletons.
Plesiosaurs had cartilaginous skeletons. When have I ever said that? A plesiosaur has bones. It swims in the water. Grab me the plesiosaur out of there, would you?
A plesiosaur has bones. It swims in the water. It has a 15-foot long woo, and can't say scoot over, dino honey. Hovind.
Science Center. No, plesiosaurs have bones. Is that one? Here we go. There you go. Thank you. Anna, I got one here. I don't think I've ever said they had cartilaginous skeletons. Why would you?
No, Kent, you don't have a plesiosaur there. What you have is a toy. You have a toy. T-O-Y, toy.
Lie about me like that. I've never said any such thing. It had a skeleton. They find the bones of them all the time.
Even when other creationists correct him on these things.
Nobody's ever accused me of believing plesiosaurs have a cartilaginous skeleton. Nobody's ever They don't need to correct me on that. I didn't say it.
Yeah, Kent. Well, you still have the soft spot on your head. So there.
Where do you get this stuff? Anyway.
So he has absolutely no paleontological comprehension or education.
I have no comprehension or education in paleontology. It's possible to read books and learn things. You don't have to get a degree from a secular university. I'll show you in a second here.
While this is technically true, at the same rate, though, the quality of any discoveries you make, any ideas you come across, if one could say someone, a casual person could make a discovery or something, it's not that it comes into question per se, but it's a matter of you're simply not specialized in these fields enough to play in the big leagues, so to speak. It's still amateur hour. That's just the way it is. It's it's that thing where people complain about the concept of gatekeeping. And while there's situations and ways that it can be an issue, a lot of times it actually makes complete and total sense. Academia is kind of one of them. If the keys to the gate are what you come up with actually works, then yeah, because that's all it boils down to is the practicality. Or at least that's a way I see it currently in this case and in the situation Hovind, there we go.
whatsoever.
Clicking all over the place. In the way Hovind brought it up.
Even without graduating, I have better credentials than he has.
You have an associate's degree. That's a 2-year degree from a junior college, or was it the university? So while you were getting your degree, you did not have it, obviously, so you had a high school diploma. Listen to what he says here.
At least my associate's in science degree is real.
Associate's in science degree is real.
I'm also a reverend, like he is, albeit for a better religion.
Dudism.
And he got his doctorate the same way I got my ordination. He bought his PhD from a mail order and didn't know he was even supposed to have a thesis first until he...
Okay, this is not correct. When I got my doctorate in education, Patriot University was part of Hilltop
Yeah, I like Iron Rock quite a bit.
Baptist Church in Colorado Springs. Many churches offer classes. They offered their classes by correspondence. I worked very hard for my degree. I don't know if you worked hard for yours or cheated, or I don't know. Some people do cheat for their degree. I worked hard for my degree. I took all the classes by correspondence. Probably University of Texas, Dallas offers courses by correspondence and by internet. I would be willing to bet money that they do. Later, long after I graduated, Patriot University moved out to Del Norte, Colorado in a double-wide house. And they take pictures of that house and circulate it all over the place as if that means something. I should have...
Now, I'm going to be real for a moment. Even though I've made the Patriot Bible trailer joke like 1,000 times, this is kind of unfair. It's still a crappy diploma mill no matter where it is, but it is kind of dumb to show a current picture of where they're operating from and be like, that's where Hovind got his degree, to make it look like he got it out of the trailer. But it doesn't actually change the worthlessness of the degree. So I only defend the point to the degree of it being a technicality that it is false to say he got it from that exact location and to make the trailer joke. But it's still funny. So take of that what you will. It's just a matter of technical accuracy, I guess, and me being particular about stuff.
When I was up at Rutgers University taking a picture, they had I think it was a Chinese language studies department. It was under a stairwell. You open the door, there's a little bitty space with a desk and one secretary and a phone. That was it. Their whole Chinese studies department. If you could probably get a bachelor's, a master's, and PhD from Rutgers University from a janitor's closet. Right? Yeah, but it's part of Rutgers. Okay, well, Patriot University is part of Colorado, and it's huge.
It's not part of Colorado. Which, it sounds so weird hearing people say Colorado that way, but it is an A and not an O. So I'm like, dang it. I think that's actually the more accurate way to say it. Because I've always heard it Colorado, like El Dorado. But no, it's got an A in there, so Colorado. Sounds so weird to say, but I'm like, dang it. That sounds more correct. It looks like it should be more correct. Of course, that's me obsessing over tiny, insignificant things. The point is, Kent, that it's a class. It doesn't matter where it's physically located. It's a class that is part of the university. That gives it validity. You're not understanding that the Patriot Bible trailer joke is still to point out that where you got your diploma from is a crummy diploma mill and not an actual university that is in league and has been determined to be of the same quality as the rest of the higher education facilities in the Western world.
Gee whiz. Okay.
He already had his followers calling him doctor.
I did not
He's
let
not a
anybody.
doctor.
I did not let anybody call me doctor. People can call me whatever they want, okay? And they do, by the way. I don't care. The doctor means nothing to me. But I worked very hard for my degree. I don't know if you worked hard for yours or not. It doesn't matter. Forget it. Here you are going off an ad hominem argument again, so I'm going to have to counter that.
And this is an interesting perspective since Michael is, as you can tell from the incredible avatar based on the best flag in the entire country, the New Mexican flag, state flag, Colorado is, again, how only way he's heard it. So it seems like that's the common pronunciation. Yet it's like, I don't know. Can still pronounce the traditional way. A does make the ah sound. And yeah, he's introduced himself as Dr. Kent Hovind.
He's a charlatan. Yet he calls into question that I actually studied biology, historical geology, and paleontology.
If you studied those things from a teacher who believed they came from a rock and who believed the layers are different ages, I'm sorry, I'm not impressed either. So if you studied those things from a teacher who was an idiot, that's going to make you into an idiot. I'm not impressed with that. It doesn't matter. The subject of this discussion, debate, whatever you want to call it, is supposed to be, where's the evidence for evolution?
Yeah, and this was Aaron's build-up to everything, Kent. Him establishing things for his audience. What you don't understand is Aaron's really good. While some segments can become very long-winded in an Aaron Raw video, and I tune out because it's mostly information overload. My ADHD takes over. He's really good at establishing things in his production work, especially for this type of video, and especially at this time in his career. And that's what he is. He's setting the stage. This is the prelude to the actual core discussion. And you're focused so heavily on it, which is understandable because just like I'm doing now, you, during this, were doing real-time off-the-cuff reactions. So I can't fault you for it. But I would think you would have understood by this point that this was the build-up for it to have been this long. But again, that's probably expecting too much of you.
14 minutes now, Mr. Nelson, and you've done nothing but attack me personally. Where's the beef?
Along with taxonomy at the University of Texas at Dallas.
So you're claiming you studied all these things at the University of Texas at Dallas. Maybe you did. Wonderful. But if they taught you evolution, you learned something that was wrong. There are people that study...
Assuming it goes beyond that. As soon as, for lack of a better term, stupid people really learned that logical fallacies were a thing, they've been misusing them constantly. And I mentioned this in other streams where it was about 10 to 15 years ago now, that I noticed it started being a thing where if you watch older media, the earliest YouTube debate stuff that you can still find, they tend not to bring it up. But when it got more intense and, people like flat earthers and other science deniers were called out for using logical fallacies, they just straight absorbed it. Like that's the one time they ever learned anything, but they only half learned it. And they started turning it around as a counter to everything said, including, of course, any given insult being called an ad hom when it's not. They're so weird in how they just, that is their thing. That is their MO, to just call everything a logical fallacy once they learn that logical fallacies exist. It's just like, stop. The whole 9 yards. Stop. If it doesn't meet the definition of it, then it's not a logical fallacy. Just because it's a point you don't like doesn't mean it's a logical fallacy. And just because it's an insult doesn't mean it's an ad hom. It's not a hard thing to understand. But of course, that's the new standard that idiots go with.
Get PhDs in Buddhism, and they learn all about Buddhism and how to do all the chants and how to wear the robe and all this stuff. You can get a PhD in Islam. You can get a PhD in underwater basket.
Yeah, I don't think there's a PhD just generically in Islam. There might be higher level, study courses as part of anthropology and the like, specializing in stuff, sure, but you don't get a PhD in Islam. And also, again, he's going to go for everything that he's going to say is, horrible and evil.
Weaving, probably. So what? Let's get to the topic, please. Where's the B for evolution?
That means I'm taking classes with actual professors and working as a scientist, both in the lab and...
You're working as a scientist, and all you have is a high school diploma. Are you admitting that a person with a high school diploma can be a scientist? He didn't have his associate degree yet. So while you're getting your associate degree, you were a scientist. Are you a scientist right now, Mr. Nelson? Are you a scientist? Yes or no? Just we'll pause. Never mind. You're going to pause later. Okay. So you're working as a scientist, and all you have is a high school diploma. Okay. Remember that, please. I'll rub your nose in that a time or two later if you keep accusing me of something that you shouldn't.
In the field, not just pretending to know everything already like he does.
Pretending to know everything. Listen to yourself, son. Listen to yourself.
Arn's admitted on many occasions there's stuff he doesn't know anything about. He doesn't know enough about. Get him on a cosmogony, and he's like, I don't know enough about that. That's not his field of expertise. He's into biology. He's into taxonomy. That's his thing. I cast a bit of a wider net, actually with more of a focus on things like cosmogony and the like. But I'm far from any expert close in those levels to like Aaron is in his. I'm just some guy. And I acknowledge that. And Aaron acknowledges what he does and doesn't know. You can't act like you know everything. You'll say you don't, but you sure act like you do. And only when stumped really good in a debate will you acknowledge that you're not prepared for that. For something like endogenous retroviruses, something that, had you done actual research on evolution, you would know something about. It wouldn't have been something you've never heard of before. Maybe I'm expecting too much.
Okay, listen to this now.
The way he spins it, my education can't measure up to his complete lack of any relevant training.
Your education can't measure up to my lack of relevant training. Let me show you about education and what is necessary here.
Oh, wow, we have been going for over an hour. Bye, Zach. Be safe out there.
Googled people who were successful but did not have an education, never finished school. Well, they gave a list, 50 extremely successful people who never finished school. George Washington, President of the United States, never finished school. Abe Lincoln had a total of 1 year of education.
With Barely Protestant in the chat, it got me thinking. I was watching some old Seth Andrews videos earlier. Or was it Seth? Or no. I think it might have been an Aaron Ra's debate with some guy. And it got to the thing where, how many Christians are there? And someone was like, depends on how you classify Catholics. And it's like, and I'm only asking this as just a mental exercise, but what is the obsession? And I get the Protestant Reformation was a big thing. But it's so weird to me that so many groups, even now, still want to classify Catholicism as not Christianity. And I know, especially someone like Barely Protestant, that's going to sound hilarious like Chris. I can explain it to you, and maybe we'll get to chatting about that sometime. But that to this day, there's still that inbuilt of a thing to not just keep them in the same fold, if only to keep the numbers up for the dominant religion status, to where they don't lose it to Islam, which of course is something all of these evangelical types would never want to be the case. It feels so weird to me to see them reject the extant fundamentals, as I understand it, of Christianity on a whole. Now, rejecting Jehovah's Witness and Mormonism, I can get more to that because it's after the fact, but rejecting the predecessor seems just really odd to me. But that's just me. This isn't my strong point. But it's a thought I have every time that comes up.
Total of 1. Okay? Harry Truman, Grover Cleveland, Zach Taylor, Andrew Johnson, John Glenn, Barry Goldwater, Benjamin Franklin, Winston Churchill, John Major, Prime Minister of England, Robert Frost, Florence Nightingale, Buckminster Fuller, George Eastman, founder of Eastman Kodak, Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's. None of these people had an education. Didn't even finish high school, most of them. George Bernard Shaw, Peter Jennings, news anchor for ABC, Christopher Columbus.
Yes, Kent. This seems to be demonstrating that a person's innate skills and capabilities and circumstances in their lives might allow them to be a success regardless of these arbitrary standards, the walls, the gatekeeping effect of having various credentials. That doesn't mean it's something everyone is going to innately be able to do, and not something that everyone can do or should be able to do. And I know it sounds like I just said the same thing, twice, but there's a slight nuance between the two, a slight difference. But this is you trying to say, oh, well, because these people who didn't meet certain criteria were successful, I should therefore be taken seriously. And it's like, no, they were taken seriously. They became successful because of their status in life and them being in the right place at the right time with the right set of skills. Everything worked out for them. You have managed to fail upwards, meaning that you've been in the right place at the right time, but you have all the wrong skills, but somehow worked things out for yourself, at least until the taxes caught up with you. And now you're living in a gravel pit, spilling hate and bigotry as you watch what's left of your life slowly fall apart.
Columbus, T.D. Jakes, Joel Osteen, John D. Rockefeller, dropped out of high school, didn't want to finish. Karl Rove, Ted Turner.
And Barely Protestant has responded to my commentary earlier. It's silly. Roman Catholics are Christians. It's the Reformed, Baptist-Costal, sectarian types who think Roman Catholicism is not Christian. Essentially, anyone who's baptized and confesses the Nicene Creed is a Christian. Harambe never finished his doctorate, but that wasn't his fault. I love how you can go back from theology to just back to the memeage. Yeah, Harambe was working on it, and then things happened. We still miss you, Harambe. Oh.
Founder of the Communist News Network, CNN. Mark Twain. You can go through and just Google Andrew Carnegie. I'll just skip to a few of them here. Henry Ford, Paul Getty, Jack London, the author, Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook. You think he's kind of successful? How much money does he have?
Billions.
Huh?
Billions.
Billions. Okay. Dropped out of school. Steve Wozniak, founder of Apple. Bill Gates. Ringo Starr. Who cares? So don't tell me you have to have some kind of education. I think I'm going to have to disagree with that, okay? I think you can actually read a book without going to school and learn some things. Abe Lincoln stayed home and read books. He was a...
Good point. He does complain Darwin didn't have a degree, but will bring up all these successful people without degrees. Like I said, Kent wants to have his cake and eat it too.
Lawyer, and then became president of the United States. So no, this is a completely off-track argument, but so many of you atheists and evolutionists use this, and you want to pick on my degree as if because I didn't get it from one of your universities, therefore I'm stupid.
Harambe was about to tell us the truth, and they had to silence him. Yep, it was they. The same they who put Hovind in jail for 9 years, but couldn't keep him forever. That was another thing I was thinking about was, okay, so I was watching right before this stream, the Seth Andrews video from the Unholy Trinity Down Under tour, where he talks about the goodness. I think it's titled like The Good Old Days. And he brings up all these people who had done horrible things, and they spent the remainder of their lives, some of these particular examples, in maximum security places. You never saw them again. And it's I'd already thought about it, but it just reminded me of this idea Hovind has that they put him away because of his Dangers of Evolution DVD, and that it was he was so dangerous they had to lock him up. But for some reason, he was in a white collar, minimum, moderate security place at worst, and it was only for 9 years. When these other people they lock away and they're just gone from existence, you don't hear about them until their court date or when they pass away. And it's like, if Hovind was such a threat, why didn't they just do that to him if they can do it to everyone else who causes big issues in this country? Additionally, Timothy McVeigh and the Oklahoma City bombing in '95 being one of them that was brought up in there, I thought to myself, additionally, you ever notice how a lot of these people who commit horrible acts against the country, like McVeigh, happen to be really patriotic? They claim they are, and yet they do stuff like what he did. It's really weird how that works, and I kind of wonder what Hovind's opinion on McVeigh, patriotism, and Christianity would be. But again, Hovind would never discuss that because it's not me trying to defend evolutionism. But some of the thoughts that just come to mind while I'm preparing for these streams and watching other stuff.
Sorry, I'm not going to let that go on. First of all, it doesn't matter, but it's not true. I have read thousands of books in my lifetime. I'm a readaholic. I read 1,800 books while I was in prison.
Yeah. See Spot. See Spot run. Run, Spot, run.
I wrote 37 books while I was in prison.
Yeah. A, B, D.
Try to use my time wisely. I research lots of stuff all the time.
Then why are you so stupid?
So let's please, it's been 14 minutes and 20 seconds now. You still haven't given the 3 evidences for evolution.
Hovind says he was a high school science teacher for 15 years, but he's never worked in any high school.
You are lying through your teeth, son. I was pastor at Bethel Baptist Church in Pekin, Illinois on Broadway, and I started a...
On Broadway. No one fucking cares where the church was. We don't need to know that it's on Broadway. I'm never going there. I'm just not. Where the hell is Pekin? Hang on, I don't want to find out. Where the hell is Pekin, Illinois? Pekin. Pekin. I zoom out, and it's smack dab in the middle of the state. Nowhere that I'd ever be, because I went through Chicago, right by O'Hare, and there is a town out in the middle of nowhere out that way that I want to check out. I forget the name, but that's only because the world's first electronic phone switch was installed in the central office there. So it's a historic site that I want to go visit and be like, yeah, Bell System, because I'm a nerd. I ain't going to Pekin, Illinois, so I don't need to know where the stupid church was, Kent. All right? It's probably a dang strip mall now.
A Christian school. We had about 80 students, and I taught there. I resigned from there and moved to Kankakee, Bourbonnais.
Yeah, resigned. Wonder why. And again, this is churches you're talking about. Them having a school doesn't mean it was a high school. Like your little Lies in the Textbook series has your now estranged son in an actual high school, which I'm surprised he's allowed near. No reason particular, just I'm a little surprised. With normal lockers and normal stuff, looks very reminiscent of my high school days because it dates to about that time. A little after, maybe. Still. To try to give the implication that you taught in actual normal high schools when you didn't.
Illinois at Faith Baptist Church and worked in their Christian school. I was the math and science teacher. Pastor Gray then left and moved to Texas and kept calling, Kent, I need you down here. I need your math skills in our school in Longview, Texas. I taught at Longview Christian Academy for 5 years, and I taught in the college, Texas Baptist College. One of the students in the college was from California. He told his dad, who was a pastor of a church in Fairfield, California, Calvary Baptist Church on Gregory Street, 600 Gregory, Dad, you've got to get...
I don't care. Kent, I just don't give a fuck. Come on, man. Come on. Oh. What address did he give, though? I'm wondering.
In Fairfield. One of the students in the college was from California. He told his dad, who was a pastor of a church in Fairfield, California, Calvary Baptist Church on Gregory Street, 600 Gregory.
600 Gregory. What was that city again?
His dad, who was a pastor of a church in Fairfield, California.
Fairfield, California. Yeah, my short-term memory sucks. All right, we're going to switch just a hair. All right, there's the church he's talking about. Yep, it's a church. It does churchy things. There's a big wall there. There's a parking lot and some trees. And oh, look, the season changed. Ah, we're back. What's over here? Huh, that looks interesting. I don't know. I'm a big fan of this. Not so much this, but okay. There we go. It did show it, yeah. There's the church. Okay, so I still had a little fun with him bringing up the location, but still.
Calvary Baptist Church on Gregory Street, 600 Gregory. Dad, you've got to get this guy to come out and work in our school. He knows his math and science. And so they kept calling and begging, would you please come out here? So finally my wife and I flew out to California, to Fairfield, and accepted the job to work at Calvary Baptist Christian School in Fairfield, California, where I was for about 3 years. And then we moved to Pensacola, Florida, where I worked at East Hill Christian School before I finally started my own ministry. Mr. Nelson, you're lying about me. I did teach. I've never said it was public schools.
Yes, but you've always implied it. You never say you taught in private schools. You taught in church schools. You just say high school science and math. Lie by omission. Also, Kent was a principal of one of them little schools, quote unquote. His motto was most definitely spare the rod, spoil the child. And he proactively enforced that, I'm sure, based on his record.
Always taught in Christian schools. I've spoken in many public schools and intend to get in more and teach them the truth that evolution is dumb. Dumb. And if that bothers you, I'm sorry. I think it bothers me that you guys teach your religion at my expense. Anyway, you are simply mistaken. I did teach in schools, 15 years, high school math.
You know, it's really funny that he perpetually says the at my expense thing when the man admitted to not paying taxes forever, went to prison for not paying taxes, and we know good and dang well still does everything he can to skirt all the taxes he possibly can, as would anyone of his ilk.
Math and science.
Instead, what he did was go into churches on occasion to lie to homeschool students about the pseudoscience nonsense he believes in.
You are lying through your teeth, son. I did not go into teach homeschool classes in churches once in a while. I taught in Christian schools. About 12% of the American population, is the last I heard, goes to private schools. There's nothing wrong with that. Actually, probably better. And I would challenge.
Yes, and how are low-income families supposed to be able to afford to send their kids to private schools, since you want the idea of public education to be non-existent, or you want the eradication of public education? No, see, you just want people to be classed out of having any chance at success in life, because the only thing that matters to your ilk are people with money. That's all y'all care about. You want to talk about the geologic column is the Bible, and then time is the God. It's like, your God is money. All right? If you didn't care about money, Kent, you wouldn't be in the right-wing schism of things that you are. And again, you wouldn't have all the stuff you do. You would have given that away. Now, it's okay to want things. That's how capitalism works. That's the way things work. That's the way humans are. We like things. We see things that are neat. We want them. They make things more enjoyable for us. Hopefully. But given your track record, you're not just trying to enjoy life. But you got your 50 Hawaiian shirts donated to you and your Walmart shoes that are falling apart. Yeah. You put on a show. That's nice. But you got a lot either way. We're not falling for it. I'm poor. No, you're not, Kent. No, you're not.
I put my math and science skills against most other high school science and math teachers. I think if we could sit and have a conversation about algebra, geometry, trigonometry, they'd come away and say, well, he really knows those subjects. You want to talk about earth science, biology, physical science? I think any other teacher would sit and talk
You've demonstrated that you know nothing about those subjects.
with me for a while and say, well, he's knowledgeable on those subjects. I think I really am, Mr. Nelson. And even if you don't get a degree from an accredited university, you can read a book, like all those other successful people did, and get your own education.
I make educational videos for high school kids.
Oh, that's proof you're smart.
So I could call myself a high school teacher with more justification than he has.
If that would be more justification than I have after being in the classroom for 15 years, you believe whatever you want. I was in the classroom teaching students those subjects, and I think I can hold my own on any of those topics. Ask any of the former students I had. They loved it. I know all kinds of math shortcuts. Let's see. Two-digit number. 52 times 48 is going to be 2496. Pick another two-digit number.
88.
88 times 92 is going to be 8096. Mr. Nelson.
Let me double check those.
2 times 48 is going to be 2496.
Which it is, but that could easily be one of those factoids he remembers. Let's see what the next one is.
Pick another two-digit number.
88.
88 times 92 is going to be 8096.
Let's see.
96.
Okay, so here's the thing, Kent. All right, anyone who's studied up on these weird little savant traits knows that the human brain can be wired in pretty interesting ways. And you might just have the capability to quickly calculate like that. That might be a little savant gift you have. That's great. That doesn't mean you understand complex concepts. And indeed, you clearly don't, because if you were so good at math, the aspects of reality like the speed of light, the value of C, of radioactive decay and the like, elements around it, elements, radiation, properties around which are defined mathematically, would be easy for you to understand and you wouldn't contest them like you do. So while you may have some savant Rain Man-esque gift of being able to do some quick math, multiplication that impresses other people, and certainly is far better than I could ever attempt to do by hand, so to speak, it doesn't mean you actually know anything. You're just wired really, really well for a particular trait.
Mr. Nelson.
But if I did that, it'd be just as dishonest as every time he did that.
I'm not being dishonest about it. The reason I've never mentioned until this...
No, these are the old 2018 videos. This is part of a series where I'm looking at Kent's full responses and not just what we see in Aaron's replies.
Broadcast, which schools I taught at, is because I know some of you morons are going to go try to check out that school and try to draw attention away from the fact that I taught school. You're looking for any excuse. Well, that's just a small school. They've only got 200 students. Watch. That'll be in the comment section on this one.
You know what? I should issue Kent Hovind a challenge that if he can calculate out the Yamato number, I will convert to young Earth creationism. I would love to see him do that. For one, I'd probably actually get a value for the Yamato number. And two, that's a big fucking number.
They'll miss the obvious. This is a distraction to try to get away from the truth.
And yeah, it is entirely possible when he asked for the other number, someone was trained to bark out that number so he could run those just reiterate those exact numbers.
Evolution is a religion. If you so choose, Aaron, to continue this discussion.
I thought this was going to be a debate, and our previous meeting was a discussion.
You're still not giving the evidences for evolution, Mr. Nelson. Quit talking about the word debate and discussion. I'm sorry I brought it up. Call it both. Pick a new name for it. And you can...
The Aaron Ross Smackdown on 06/45/2017, because that's what this actually was.
Make another video of your next best 3 evidences for evolution. And we'll do the same thing again.
I don't think we'll get that far.
I think
Hovind is going to faceplant in the very first round like he did in our previous meeting.
Hovind's going to faceplant in the first round. This is my third...
And you sure did.
Third video going up tonight here, Mr. Nelson.
And it's still round 1.
I don't think I faceplanted on any of them.
Because he can't get through this, knowing as little as he does.
Nothing particular, Cassius. I forget exactly when you popped out, but I don't think you missed too much.
Especially not when he has to follow the same rules that I do. And now that we got the preliminaries out of the way, I guess the debate starts now.
Yay, I lost the pause button here.
Yeah, there you go. He got through all his intro, all 15 minutes of it, which would have gone by a lot quicker. I would say had you shut up. But again, I do have to give Kent the benefit of the doubt here, or not even benefit of the doubt, but just the fact that he didn't know there was going to be a 15-minute intro, and thus he reacted to it in the same way I would. So I truly can't fault him for that. He's doing what he did in his programs at that time. And yes, I went all boomer with that, and here's programs, but, at this stage, Hovind was a little more not off the cuff, a little more fluid with the videos he was making, or so my understanding is. He just kind of made what he felt like. He didn't have a routine schedule, so it was a little more exciting. Now it just feels like, oh, here's some sermons, and here's Whacking Atheist. Oh, no, we didn't get Whacking Atheist today. And here's his 50-minute long open mics that are boring as crap. Okay.
Aaron said, no matter how
there
it is. Okay. You think you know it.
Spacebar.
If you can't
What?
show it,
Spacebar.
then you don't know it.
Rewind, start over.
And you shouldn't say that you
10
do.
seconds, just hit that rewind 10-second arrow right there next to the play button.
Oh, okay.
Well, rewind 10 seconds is right there next to the play button. Oh, okay. Yep, real expert here.
Go 10 more.
Yeah.
Knowing as little as he does.
And oh yes, Aaron still is on Kent's mind every single day.
Especially
Knowing as little as I do, I've done 151 debates. If you want to count this one to be 152, go watch some of them. Everybody else watches them and says, wow, this guy knows his subject, I think.
You sure as hell didn't know about where was our old friend? What were those things? Oh yeah, endogenous retroviruses. What's the line again, Kent? Because we relish it so much. I'm not prepared for that.
I think I do know my subject. What do you mean knowing as little as he knows? Stick to the topic. Where's your evidence for evolution? We're still waiting on the beef, son, okay?
not when he has to follow the same rules that I do.
Oh, no, I'm following the rules. This is nice, being able to pause to shut you up and stop you from all you going running on and on and on, diarrhea of the mouth, and be able to stop and talk about a word at a time. I'm enjoying this. I'll do this with you for the rest of my life if you...
I really should. Honestly, the more I think about it, the more I should propose Kent, if he's so good at math, get his opinion on calculating out the Yamato number and see what his response is.
like to straighten out the lies that you teach people.
Got the preliminaries out of the way? I guess the debate starts now.
Bingo, you're on. Got it.
Aaron said, no matter how positively you think you know it, if you can't show it, then you don't know it. And you shouldn't say that you do. Aaron, I'd like you to follow your own advice. I've been asking here, can you show me the evidence for how any of these things evolved? Where, not a line on paper, where's the evidence? How did we get butterflies from nothing? How did we get broccoli from nothing, or a bear, or a backbone? Go back and look at the videos.
Only creationists believe that complex interdependent systems and organisms poofed out of nothing.
Whoa, no. The evolutionists are the ones who believe all these complex systems poofed out of nothing. Let me show you. Okay, Mr. Nelson, for the last
Edit.
61 broadcasts on my channel, I have been talking about different creatures. I just drew one up randomly talking about the antlion. So this is clear back from letter A, okay? But you can see these quotes on all of them. According to your religion of evolutionism, the antlions came from a dot of nothing that exploded. This is University of Oregon. They are showing a drawing how the Big Bang is where nothing exploded and turned into the guy doing the Valsalva maneuver. I'm sorry, rapidly expanded. The most important information that few people know, the universe is 13.798 billion years old, with a sphere diameter of 93 billion light years. How they know that? Unless light traveled faster than light, that's another topic, never mind. Virtual particles that convey temporary mass continuously pop in and out of existence in the empty space, the nothingness between the quarks. 90% of you, including antlions, is nothing. The universe formed by matter and condensing out of the energy. An inflating singularity 13.798 billion years ago, you came from energy. You are energy. All matter came from energy. The inflating singularity that formed the universe came from
Matter and energy are the same thing, Kent.
Nothing. Only creationists believe we came from nothing. This guy's University of Ohio, Mr. Nelson. Okay. The singularity was an unstable, ultra-high energy virtual particle that spontaneously appeared out of the nothingness of a quantum vacuum. You came from nothing. Everything comes from nothing. Wow. Hi, I'm James St. John, University of Ohio. How about Alan Guth? The observable universe could have evolved from an infinitesimal region. It's then tempting to go one step further and speculate the entire universe evolved from literally nothing. Why would you say only creationists believe it poofed out of nothing? You are mistaken, okay? Then you want to get into the primordial soup. I got plenty of quotes on that. I do this every night in my broadcast. Here's your theory. Nothing exploded and made everything. Then the earth cooled down and a rocky surface was created. As the earth formed, the surface was hot like the moon. There were large pools of bubbling lava. There was no oxygen, but the rocks absorbed it anyway. I've never understood that one. Oceans formed as it rained on the rocks for millions of years. Millions of years of torrential rains created the oceans. Swirling in the waters of the oceans is a bubbling broth of complex chemicals. Progress from a complex chemical soup to a living organism is very slow. Boy, it sure is. It's completely stopped. Doesn't happen at all. Never happened. Life on Earth may have begun in rocks on the ocean floor more than 4 billion years ago. The first self-replicating systems must have emerged in this organic soup. This is exactly what the textbooks teach. The Earth began as a hot ball of rock. About 3.9 billion years ago, Earth had cooled enough for water vapor to condense. The Earth was, for the first time, experiencing violent rainstorms. Eventually, the accumulated rainfall formed Earth's oceans. It is in these oceans, 3.5 billion years ago, the scientists believe the first living organisms appeared. Just poof out of the soup. 13.798 billion years ago, Big Bang. Earth formed 4.6 billion years ago. Rained on the rocks for millions of years, turned them into soup, and the soup came alive. So there's Grandpa. This is exactly what you teach, that nothing formed everything. Don't tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. This is exactly what you guys believe. So, Mr. Nelson, let's go on with your...
And this is where Soot and I play out an awesome ass B-flat chord. I'll cover the bass, he handles the lead, and then we just fucking rock.
Diatribe here.
With inherent modification, meaning...
There you go. You're wanting to define evolution as descent with modification. You are completely baffled. There are 6 different levels to this. Descent from what? You're going to skip living organisms coming from the soup. That's what the textbooks teach. You're going to skip the... Where did matter itself come from? How did the stars get there? How did life get started? Descent with modification is only going to give you varieties of dogs. It's not going to change a pine tree to a dog.
Yeah, like it's going to give you varieties of mammals and varieties of chordates.
Not going to change an amoeba to a dog. You're selecting your own wording definition of the word evolution to get out of the obvious. Your theory's dumb. The whole theory includes much more than that.
Genetic modification, variable...
Look, statistics show that 1 out of every 10,000 people you meet might be a stratophile. They get really turned on by layers. I don't know, it sounded better in my head. Head.
Genetic modification, well, then you already got to have a gene code. Well, then the gene code itself is phenomenally complex. Study some genetics. You think the gene code happened by chance? What is the chance of lightning striking a computer and creating a whole new program like PowerPoint?
False analogy, Kent.
0.
frequencies at the population level. I've seen you say that you accept that this happens, and that you even accept speciation. Of course, you don't realize that counts as macroevolution.
No, Mr. Nelson, speciation does not count as macroevolution. Somebody in the 1600s, Carolus Linnaeus, I believe it was 1600s, made up our classification system: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. God said they're going to bring forth...
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
After their kind, okay? It could be that our species level is not the same as the kind level in the Bible. It could be that it's more like...
Yeah, Ben, it takes a lot to tolerate Kent. I've clearly lost my mind completely since I started doing this in like August of last year. Not this particular series, just all the Hovind.
Like the family level in some cases. It could be it's more like the order level in some cases. I don't know. Forget what Carolus Linnaeus said. God said they'll bring forth after their kind. That's all anybody's ever seen.
Oh, no. No, actually I should have put the up arrows and not the exponential things. It's supposed to be up arrows. Can't believe I forgot that. That's what I call the Yamato number. Tower of Power of eights. Of eight times the power tower of eights. A total of 8 levels deep. So it's 8 sections of 8 actions. It's all about the 8s because that's my favorite number. Thus resulting in a ludicrous number because you do 8 squared and get your first value, which is like 16.7 million. Then you multiply that value by 8. Then you multiply that value by 8. So it's each resulting value gets put in because of the way towers of power work in math. And eventually the number is just ludicrously massive. Ludicrously massive. But as I written, yeah, it ends up being a weird, 42 kind of conundrum. But it's not that particular formatting. The way it's supposed to actually be, it's a tower of power.
So just because somebody decided to call a wolf and a dog and a coyote and a different species doesn't mean they're not the same kind of animal. This is where they always muddy the water, trying to say, oh, well, it's a difference. Look at this, we got a new species. There are how many species of ladybugs? I forget how many I found out, like 3,000? Yes.
Yeah, and those antlines he was talking about earlier, there's 2,000 species of. You ever notice there's a whole lot of species derivative species in insects? It's kind of cool.
A bug. Gee whiz.
You even accept ring species, which opposes it.
Ring species is if a group of animals lives in one area, and some of them move might be very different. The two squirrels on the opposite sides of Grand Canyon, the Kaibab squirrel and the Abert squirrel, are very, very different looking. They're still a squirrel.
No, Esben, you may have to look it up. It's a power of tower going on. What I wrote was technically incorrect for what I'm trying to describe, but it's a stack of exponents to where the resulting value of each exponent is multiplied by the exponent following up. It's usually a sequential thing, so you get those values constantly skyrocketing very quickly.
Squirrel. Okay, squirrel. That's not evolution. That's a ring species, and somebody decided the Abert squirrel and the Kaibab squirrel are different species. Okay, they're still a kind of animal.
That refutes your own notion of created kinds.
It does not refute my own notion of created kinds. We've only covered a few more minutes. This is
Yeah, the proper name is tetration, 8 levels deep.
going to take about a year.
8 tetrated, 8 levels deep is what I'm describing.
I think it needs to be done. I apologize, but the comment section is exploding on these YouTubes. I think it's helping a lot of people because guys like you, people have to face guys like this in class as their teacher. Tens of thousands of students have to sit under this kind of stuff all day long. And it destroys their faith, and they don't get time to stop and interrupt. I want to help you. I know I'll probably never reach him. I understand that his mind isn't like concrete, all mixed up and firmly set.
And yes, I am completely crazy for having come up with the idea of that number, because it's stupidly big. But I was watching some videos on big numbers and math and stuff, and was like, you know what, I should come up with my own just for kicks. And so I just defined, that order operations, tetration of eight levels, and that's the resulting number. And I just decided to call it my own number, because that's how you do with numbers. Like, it's cool. We know it's an actual exact number. And that's what I think is awesome about it. Like, it's not just, infinity plus 1. It's an actual number. But calculating it out is not going to happen for a very long time, if ever.
But
he's at least watching you.
He's at least watching, for sure. Now, But this is helping the students, and I apologize we're wasting precious Bible study time. We could be talking about different creatures, and I'm excited to get to monkeys next. But we're going to delay that for a minute and go to at least probably one more, maybe two more. Maybe I won't tell you, I don't know how many. We'll see. I try to cut it off at 40, 45 minutes. But I'm sorry, Mr. Nelson, you're 0 for 100 so far on your points you're making, and I'm loving life. See, you're used to the raw rat rush where you rush off and give 40 points, and you accuse me of doing the Gish Gallop. It's you that does this, and this is great, being able to stop word by word if necessary and explain it. How many of you this is helping explain some of this stuff? You say, wow. But see, a student...
I'm Hovind, and it's time for me to do the show of hands.
...doesn't get to do that to their teacher. They're frantically taking notes, trying to get all this stuff down, and after an hour, the teacher's got them all bamboozled.
Okay, so Kent, if they're a grade school teacher, the general technique is going to be that if someone is confused, they're going to alert the instructor of that fact, and the teacher will try to drill in stuff a little more, or hopefully we'll be able to make some time to go with them in a little more detail personally in some kind of off hour, or otherwise maybe during some other stuff or during some busy work phase. It's a college level thing. That is kind of another story, but that's also kind of the thing you sign up for in college. That's not explicitly what could always happen. Sometimes you'll get decent teachers, and in the grade school level, you know, high school and stuff, it can be the same way. Some teachers will actually give a damn, others won't. But generally speaking, teachers that are any level of decent will take time to make sure you understand things because they want to teach. They want their students to learn. I was very fortunate that a lot of the teachers I had really, really wanted to help out when I was struggling with some stuff. And some knew in fields I excelled at, like science, they taught me more. They taught me advanced subjects that I, oddly enough, wouldn't even come up in high school. But in 5th grade, was being taught some detailed stuff. Don't know what happened there. That stuff sticks with me, and those teachers stuck with me. I'm sure a lot of the students you taught, the memories of you have stuck with them, but not for the same reasons. They aren't happy, fun memories where I wonder if my 5th grade science teacher is still doing okay, if she's still out there. I would love to meet her and be like, hey, I know it's been 30 years. Here's Chris. Here's how I turned out. Not the best, but still, love science. Whereas yours would probably run screaming at the sight of you. I don't know.
I will come to any university and debate any professor on the topic of evolution anywhere. I'll pay my way to get there. If U.S., I don't want to go somewhere else and pay $4,000 for a ticket to talk for an hour, but I'll come to the university. I'll take on all the professors at the same time if I get half the time and we talk about one topic at a time. You want to talk about does speciation...
Oh, he touched his ear right there. Did you see that? That little tail he has when he's lying, when he's full of crap because he knows he doesn't do one topic at a time.
Equal macroevolution like you just said? No, it does not. Macroevolution is where an animal produces a different kind of animal. That's never happened. You can believe it if you want. You and SpongeBob can start your own school, but it's not science. More tomorrow. Thank you, folks, for joining us. Push thumbs up, like us, subscribe, ring the bell. Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland.
Back when he said that stuff, like he actually knew what it meant, and he didn't crack its stupid jokes in it and be petty like he is now. Or there's something with Al Gore's rhythm. It's like, good God, Kent.
John, good to have you here. It's a lot of work, right? You showed up, put right to work, right? Yeah.
Too bad you pop in right at the end, Zoomy.
Thank you. Awesome. This is an amazing place. It's coming together. There's a whole lot to do. Appreciate you coming. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Boo. This sucked. All right, so let's see what's ahead on the agenda, because I think we're in uncharted territory. I think I've only watched on my own the first 3. So we've still got parts 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Hovind's responses. Then we have... God, why didn't it want to work right? If I hover over this, the mouse just is like, nope, I'm not scrolling. Now I'm scrolling. Then we have Aaron's part 1 and 2 that we won't look at, of course, because we've all seen them 1,000 times. And is part 3 of round 2. Yes, because Aaron went through many, many sections in his thing. Yeah, then Yeah, now I remember how this panned out. Aaron did his responses, and then Kent goes into his round 2, part 1, part 2, part 3. And yeah, so this is going to be fun because at some point in this, I remember from Aaron's videos, he mixes up what section he's on and starts calling his response part like round 2 and then round 3. It just gets ridiculous. So we're going to have a lot of fun going forward with those. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while, but we can totally make it happen. Can see embodiment of a boomer. Yeah, he really, really is. Union with some teachers, yeah. Ooh, Dogwalker just hit the original series again. Cool. This is all fresh to you. Favorite series on Hovind has to be when Logic picked apart his VHS tapes that claimed you could use, but then tried the DMCA. Yeah, that was during the time Hovind was in prison. There was still a big push by CSE at the time under Eric, since at the time everything was still copacetic in the family and in the ownership of the property and ministry. That they took down the copyright usage affair on their website, like the thing saying, oh, our material isn't copyrighted, we're not going to hold anything, to try to silence critics. And of course that didn't go very far. And then of course they had their falling out, so that also didn't go very far and didn't help them very much. What else? Yeah, it was pretty funny. Logic is how I found out about Kent Hovind. I would have never heard about the man had it not been for Logic, or at least I wouldn't have learned about him soon enough. Let's see. Can't botch the numbers, makes it hard to keep track of. Yeah. Well, Aaron's index keeps it easy, so there's that. But still, the fact I don't know how exactly I'm going to label these as I get down into the later parts, because do I want to do round 2, part 1, what have you? Because right now I'm just labeling, Kent side, part whatever. So I'll probably just keep up that numbering. Incredible song. That was a little bit on the fucky side. Yeah, early Logic was pretty great. Oh, right, yeah. Let me get back to you on that. I remember now. Yeah, sometimes if I see stuff in the morning when I get up, I forget about it by the end of the day, and it's nothing personal. I have a crappy memory. My memory is hot garbage. But right, wow, this has been 2 hours. Yeah, it's 3:47. Holy fuck! How do we spend 2 hours on that shit? I was aiming for 1 hour. Well, whatever. It was a stream. We had fun. Did you have fun? I had fun. We all had fun. Yeah, well, the thing about that is that this is usually when I'm in a rush to get my day going, so I don't end up having the time to make the lists, and by then I already forget. It's a little chaotic being me. But yeah, I'll try to get back to you here as soon as I can. But yeah, hope everyone did enjoy themselves. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, Jacob, it's about over, so you're not missing anything. Glad you had fun. Catch you later. And I'll catch everyone later. If you're on Discord, hit me up, and hopefully, you won't get lost in the shuffle because of my inability to keep anything in memory. Oh no, I'm just saying, don't take it personal. I just suck at getting back to everyone. You know how much stuff I put off of my own? I forget about? Oh yeah, I should have paid that. Let me do that. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah. Just y'all are awesome. I'm just trying to read everything as I always do. Yeah, y'all are awesome. Much love. I will catch everyone later.